What's going on, everybody? Gem Mint here with today's new comic book day reviews. It's Wednesday, August 18th, and you know how we do it. Gonna jump into these reviews as spoiler-free as possible. Before we get started, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell, and if you're digging the videos, hit that like button. We do have a big giveaway going on for our next subscriber milestone, and we're giving away a Deja Thoris premium format by Sideshow. Hang around to the end of the video. I'll give you more details on the giveaway, and a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, John Unlimited Rocket Soul Series 1. This superhero spy thriller is being crowdfunded on Indiegogo right now. It's a 138-page graphic novel, which is drawn and written by artist T.L. Tino. It's only $12, and the campaign is ready to ship as soon as it ends, so you'll get the book within 30 days after that. So make sure to check the link in the description and back John Unlimited Rocket Soul Series 1. Alright guys, we'll start with the indie books, and we'll start with the 3 digital books that I read, starting with Nocterra. This is by Scott Snyder, Tony S. Daniel, along with Tomei Morey. We're talking issue 6, and I'm continuing to dig this series. It has great flashy artwork, an interesting story about this world that has been covered in darkness, the big PM. For some reason, the sun is gone, and they have like these little inner turmoils happening here with double crossing, with almost a water world like hope that there's someplace on this planet that still has light instead of land and water. Anyway, digging this series, it's super fun. This was a great issue. Then we got Radiant Black, issue 7 by Kyle Higgins. He's joined by Marcelo Costa, Natalia Marquez, and Becca Carey. So, as you can see from the cover, very Power Ranger-ish here. It is interesting. We're learning about these different radiants is what they're called, or at least that's what the power is called. Unmasking some of them, as you can see from the cover as well. And just seeing all these people kind of interact with each other after last issue, which was basically an origin story of the Red Radiant Black, or the villain. So kind of cool to see now them intertwined and learning more about where these powers coming from, who is responsible for the Radiant Black power, and our new hero stepping up to take on the challenge. So I was also digging Radiant Black. Then we have Time Before Time, issue 4. This is by O'Halloran, Oatsmain, Elahu. So, man, I really loved issue 1 of this series, but I don't really feel like it's kept the same momentum. It can get a little confusing with all the different time periods that you're in. It's kind of like a witness protection program book, but with time travelers that can put you in a good time. The present time, which is way in the future, I think 2300s, really sucks. So you have like these organizations, you have this syndicate type of people in charge organization, the rebels, you have double crossing going on here as well. But you can get a little bit lost with the characters, the sides, who's on whose side. The artwork is pretty decent. I mean, this one actually did get really exciting toward the end here, but man, kind of want more of what we got in that first issue. All right, on to Valiant. We have Exo Man of War issue 5. This is by Dennis Hopeless, along with Lieso, Forte, Redmond, and Oatsman Alehu again. So Exo Man of War issue 5, I feel like I say this every time, but it seems like a long time since we got an XO issue. I feel like this run is being overshadowed by like this Tony Stark-esque character that's here to help Eric. Interesting stuff going on with the suit. How do you say her name? Shalabal, like from Silver Surfer, Shanhara or what have you. Interesting things going on with the suit. A new kind of villain in play, and interesting who they're after in this book. So it's okay. This has been a 5-issue series that started, I feel like, early in 2020. I liked the premise of Eric being in Harlem and kind of living amongst the people, but it's kind of gone off the rails since issue 3 or so. Then from Aftershock, we got Beyond the Breach issue 2. This is by Ed Brisson along with Damian Cusero. Man, issue 1 was a trip. As soon as I read the first panel here, I was like, oh yeah, that's what happened in issue 1. Crazy premise, this girl's driving, everything's going bad in her life, and then boom, she gets into this accident, but it's almost like the whole world snapped, and like it feels like there's multiple dimensions that have merged in with each other in this story so far. That's kind of the vibe I get. You see the cover, you have this huge tortoise with this squid face guy, so it kind of seems like we might still be on Earth in California, and that there's just other creatures from other dimensions all mixed in together. Super cool stuff here, very interesting. And yeah, I think this is a fun ride so far. The last from the indies from Boom Studios, we have Eat the Rich, issue 1. This is by Sarah Gailey, P.S. Bach, and Roman Titov. Man, I wasn't going to get this issue. I thought this was going to be like some kind of politically charged book by the title, But I read the synopsis and I was like, oh, okay, let's take a look at it. So glad I picked it up. Super interesting. It has a lot of dynamics going on here. This girl who's like from, regular blue collar family is dating this uber rich guy. They're both in college together or working on, they're lawyers or something like that. Time for her to meet the parents, and they're in this super rich beach house. So that dynamic is fun. And then the whole eat the rich thing is like taken literally. So not to give too much away, but I love the hook at the end. I love how Sarah conveyed so much feeling in this girl. I mean, maybe she wrote it in herself, how she would feel out of place in this place with super wealthy people and not knowing what to wear, how to dress, how to talk, what to order. So that was interesting. And then her boyfriend's friend from home, that whole dynamic. It was a great issue, man. Solid #1, interesting series. All right, let's move on to the DC books. We're going to start with Batman Secret Files Clown Hunter issue 1, another one from Ed Brisson. He's joined by Campe and Dollhouse. I didn't read the Batman Secret Files on Huntress, but this one I was like, you know what? I want to see what old Clown Hunter is up to. And it's kind of just fleshing his origin out a little bit more, tying it into what's happening with Punchline right now, tying it into his arc from Joker War. And he's still kind of doing the same thing, trying to hunt down people that were working for the Joker and serve them justice. So I thought it was good. I mean, Punchline's feeling really different these days. I guess maybe when Tynian's not writing her, or ever since she's been in jail, she just feels really different. But overall, I thought it was still a fun issue. Moving on over to Shazam, issue 2 out of 4. This one's by Sheridan, Henry, and Mialo. I really dug this issue. I thought the art style was great. Shazam in hell, entering the Nevermore, trying to find the rock, the Eternal Rock, trying to get his powers back, man. Billy says Shazam, but nothing happens. So this miniseries is him trying to work the kinks out of his powers, running into the ruler of this underworld right now. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It's kind of a shame it's a 4-issue miniseries. It's really meant to just accompany Teen Titans Academy, but I was really digging it. Then we got Superman and the Authority, issue 2 of 4. This is by Grant Morrison. There's a lot of creators on here. Janine, Foreman, Cagle, Osio, Belair, Sinclair, Stewart, and Chang. This was a super fun issue. You can just tell when you have like a seasoned veteran writer like Grant Morrison here, writing the hell out of this Manchester Black character. He just does it so effortlessly, and you can just tell he has a real feel for the character. This issue is all about Superman and Manchester Black recruiting this team of anti-heroes, and they bring in Moon Knighter. I forget who Moon Knighter's companion is here. Moon Knighter is a crazy character, man. He's like he's pretty much like Batman from Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. But it's funny because he's a gay man, and like even Manchester Black introduces them to Superman as the gay's finest, or some kind of twist on the world's finest. I thought it was pretty interesting. I really like the scenes with Superman. You really get the feel that he's not the Superman that he once was, hence putting together this team. So super solid issue, fun stuff from Grant Morrison. Then moving on over to the Flash 773. This is by Adams, Conrad, and Sinclair. This is a new arc. Wally West as the Flash once again. He's working for Mr. Terrific, and he's trying to really have that work-life balance. He's trying to be a hero while still fulfilling his duties at work. And some of the people, some of the scientists he's working with think he's just some kind of gearhead, they even call him, just some kind of mechanic. They don't really understand the scientific mind of Wally West, but he kind of proves himself a little bit here. I thought it was interesting. I like it. I like the superhero aspect of this book. It's fun, it's lighthearted, and yeah, it's a good run so far. Moving on over to some Tom King with Batman Catwoman. He's joined by Clayman and Temu More. I really dug this issue. I mean, Tom King is doing what Tom King does here in writing 3 stories at once in 3 different timelines. You got Batman with the Phantasm along with Catwoman. Then you have an older Catwoman with her daughter. And then you have Catwoman in kind of, I guess, present time with the Joker. But I feel like this book, he really balances it out well. I think in like Strange Adventures, especially Rorschach, it could be like a little convoluted. But I felt like this book was super solid with great artwork. I like the character designs. I like how he writes Selena Kyle. Yeah, he does kind of make Bruce Wayne kind of a simp for Catwoman, but I mean, what are you going to do? And then we got Legends of the Dark Knight issue 4. I thought this was only a 3-issue run. I was wrong. Here's issue 4 by Phillips, Dunbar, and Bond Villain. This was an excellent issue. This wasn't like the first 3 issues where I always compared it to like a late 80s Batman story. This felt like current. This felt like New 52 Batman telling this Penguin story, tying it in with the founders of Gotham and Penguin's, I guess, great-grandfather or great-great, something like that, along with Bruce Wayne's. I thought it was super interesting. The art style was great. I thought it was, man, it felt like the title, Legends of Batman. It feels like a classic Batman story, and I was really having fun with this one. I'm glad to see they're continuing with it because it kind of feels like it's just telling good Batman stories with good, interesting villains, and you don't really have to know much more than that. All right, then we got more Tom King with Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, issue 3 of 8. He's joined by Evely and Lopez. Man, this issue, I can't say the same as I did for Catwoman. I felt like this issue had so much narration, so much dialogue on every page, telling this story. You know what it felt like? You know when you play an RPG and then you go to the town and you talk to all the townspeople? Like, that's what this whole issue was. Kind of like some story of 2 different races or species that live in this city and what happened to one of them. Like, yo, side quest for sure, man. I wasn't really digging this. The art style's just okay. And then on to Nightwing. I almost gave this one pick of the week. It's a great issue. We're talking issue 83 by Tom Taylor, Redondo, and Lucas Redondo. Ever since Tom Taylor took over with issue 78, this has been one of my favorite books every time I read it, every time it comes out. The paneling is great, the layouts are great, but what Tom Taylor really does is tell an interesting story with great pacing about Dick Grayson. He's the man of Bloodhaven. He's trying to do all the right things. And I don't want to give too much of the plot away. There's this great villain lurking in the background, this heartless man who's after all the homeless. And meanwhile, Nightwing is trying to help the homeless. So that's kind of the story here. I guess it's okay to say he inherited Bruce's billions from Alfred. So I always feel like Bruce is like, come on, bro, give me my money back. But he's going to do the right thing with it. Man, Bruce Wayne doesn't need to be a billionaire. He's Batman. So interesting stuff, fun book. You guys should definitely try to catch up. I think the trade just came out, starting with issue 78, the Tom Taylor run. All right, guys, and on to Marvel. Let's start out with a bang, The Trial of Magneto, issue 1. This one's by Williams, Wernick, and Delgado. I almost gave this one pick of the week as well, but I thought I'm going to give it to a different book. Trial of Magneto. I thought I wasn't going to dig this when I first started reading it because it's kind of focused around X-Factor investigating the murder of Scarlet Witch, and I dropped the X-Factor title. It wasn't for me. But that's not all this issue was. They had a lot more going on here, and I love seeing Magneto kind of like a bad guy again. I thought it was really dope. Great artwork, great battles, great interactions with Professor X, with Polaris, X-Force, and X-Men. Everybody really gathering around the death of Scarlet Witch, trying to figure out who done it. Cool stuff, man. Good first issue. Then we're on to Sinister War, issue 3, Nick Spencer, along with Ed Brisson, Mark Bagley, Gomez, Carlos, Raber, and Crossley. So this was a fun issue. No problems with this one. It's definitely a big brouhaha. Every kind of sixth formation villain Spider-Man team you could think of. A big brawl. It reads super fast. It's not too dense. It's almost too fast. Too furious. No, I was joking. But yeah, I mean, nothing really much happens. Spider-Man's getting his ass whooped for 3 issues so far, but it was enjoyable. I mean, I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. I didn't dig issue 2. I liked issue 1. This was more of what issue 1 was. All right, then we have Way of X, issue 5. This one is by Spurrier, Quinn, and Tartaglia. So you see you got Nightwing and Onslaught on the front. You know, it's funny, I was reading this and Fee looks over my shoulder. She's like, is that Legion? It's a Legion story. Legion, Nightcrawler. I like the premise. I like Nightcrawler having a problem with the resurrection protocols, and it hits a little close to home for him in this issue. You have this Onslaught lurking in the background. We learn more of how he's resurrecting himself. Not to talk about too many resurrections. But yeah, it was a good issue. I liked it. I thought it was fun. The relationship between Professor X and his son Legion is super weird. This one was just as awkward as their other interactions, but I still enjoy this one. All right, guys, moving on to Moon Knight issue 2. This one's by McKay, Cappuccio, and Rosenberg. So we just jump right into the thick of it here. Issue 1 was kind of a little bit of an origin story, but this one is like, all right, boom, we're in the new Moon Knight run like right now. So you had great artwork in here. You're into the world of Moon Knight. You have glimpses of his different psyches, his different split personalities, if you will. And I love how he uses that to his advantage, man. He has strong brain power. So it's not like somebody like Split who he can't control his other personalities. Like, he knows he's strong-minded, and it really helps him in this issue. It was big, it was dark at the same time, and I definitely recommend reading Moon Knight, especially if you're not familiar with the character and you want to know more leading into this new Disney Plus show. All right, guys, then lastly, my pick of the week. Robbie's going to be pissed, but I gave it to Kang the Conqueror issue 1. This is by Kelly, Lansing, Magno, and Grutengern. Only myself left to conquer. So, with Kang the Conqueror being set up to be the next big bad in the MCU, it only makes sense that they're giving us kind of an origin of Kang. It's almost like, if you want to know more about the variants of Kang, read this comic book. I don't want to give too much away on this one because I think it's worth the read. It's kind of an origin story for Kang, but kind of not really. It's interesting that the way that they handle it. I like how you can see how evil and villain-like Kang can be in this one, not as jovial and charismatic as the Kang that we've seen in Loki. So you see villain Kang here. You kind of see a couple of versions of Kang here. That's all I'm going to give you. I like it. I thought it was dope. I haven't read a lot of Kang stuff, so for me, I was like, this is exactly what I needed with all this new interest on the character. So that's this week's books, guys. Let me know which ones were your favorite. Let me know what your pick of the week was in the comments down below. That's what's going to enter you into our giveaway. Once we hit 150,000 subscribers, we're going to go live the following Sunday, pick a random video where I promoted the giveaway, and use a random YouTube comment generator to draw a worldwide winner. And like I said, we're giving away that Deja Thor's premium format. Big shout out to TL Tino for sponsoring the video. Appreciate you guys watching, but don't go anywhere. Check out last week's new comic book day reviews if you missed them, and check out my top 10 favorite comics of last week with Rockin' Robbie, and stay tuned for this week's top 10 at the end of the week. Stay minty fresh, y'all. Peace.